first season of the Cassian Andor show wrapped up, it has shown that there doesn't have to be Jedi, Sith, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, or even the Force to make a great Star Wars show. It's true that those elements are some of the nuances that help make Star Wars what it is. But there's one other element from Star Wars that a lot of fans have pointed out as missing or widely underutilized in the Andor series, and that element is aliens. Now, that isn't to say there are no aliens in the Cassian Andor show, but they are scarce. Well, scarce compared to almost every other Star Wars show and movie to date. I say almost for a good reason, and I'll get into that later. So, today, I'm going to give a few reasons as to why there are so few aliens in the Cassian Andor series, and why it could make sense. But before we get into it, I've noticed a lot of you are enjoying my videos and aren't yet subscribed. If you're enjoying my Star Wars content, then what are you waiting for? Subscribing really helps my channel in so many ways. So if you haven't done so yet, go on and hit that subscribe button and help this channel grow to new heights. All of you are so appreciated, more than you would ever know. And soon, I'll be breaking away from the Andor stuff and getting back to more of the galaxy far, far away. So let's enjoy some Star Wars together, shall we? Not one Wookiee, no Trandoshans, and there's no sign of a Rodian anywhere in the Andor show. When I say it aloud, it sounds weird to say that about anything in the Star Wars series. I mean, isn't that one of the great things about Star Wars? Seeing new aliens and even familiar ones. I mean, heck, even the Book of Boba Fett had more than its fair share of aliens we have come to know and love. And that show is seen as a bad installment in the Star Wars franchise by many people. No, don't worry, I'm not hating on the Book of Boba Fett, but it stands there were a lot of aliens in it, and it probably had the best live-action iteration of Pikes, and maybe the worst iteration of Gamorreans. Seriously, they look malnourished. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series had its fair share of aliens, as did both seasons of The Mandalorian. But where are they in Andor? We know they exist by the billions. Well, to explain that, we have to look at some details that aren't widely known by casual fans. Yes, we die-hard fans know this stuff. We all know that the Empire was created by George Lucas with inspirations coming from the Third Reich, or Nazis for short. Galactic dominance, even though never really attaining that goal 100%, fascist ideals such as state before everything, and imprisoning people and using the inmates for slave labor to drive the war machine of the totalitarian system. But there is one thing that isn't spoken about in the Star Wars movies and series that really connects the Empire to the leaders of the NSDAP, or Nazis, and that's racism. Have you ever noticed there are no aliens in the Empire in live action? In fact, there's only one alien in the whole of the Empire ranks, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and the reason for his acceptance is that, well, Thrawn's a freaking genius. But even in the Thrawn trilogy, Thrawn is discriminated on with his Imperial cohorts. Okay, maybe that stuff is more commonly known than I had thought, but it's an interesting fact to point out. So, with the Imperial side of the story being told in about 35 to 40% of the Cassian Andor series, that is why we don't see aliens in the Imperial scenes. But what about the other 60 to 65% of the show? Well, there are aliens, but they're background characters and they are few and far between. That's odd for a Star Wars show for sure. I'm not denying that. Let's take the Coruscant scenes, for example. While Coruscant was once teeming with life forms of all nationalities, this show seems to have a void in that department. But remember when I said the Empire was racist? Well, their center of power is on Coruscant. While there are still aliens in the Senate, there are very few remaining on Coruscant due to the abuse they received by citizens and the Imperial ranks alike. The senators would have to tolerate it to get their voices heard, but average citizens would have fled or been wrongfully imprisoned or moved to the underworld. Remember, the Empire is based on Nazism, and that stuff happened more than it didn't in Nazi-occupied lands. But the Coruscant scenes only take up about 15% of the series, and those are just estimations, so don't quote me on that. But we can see that it doesn't take up nearly as much as the rest of the show does. Okay, so we can't claim racism for planets such as Ferrix, but there are aliens there, even some with speaking lines. But Ferrix isn't under complete Imperial control, yet. There is the Narkina 5 aliens, more of them with speaking roles, but only 2. But Narkina 5 is a prison system and not so much occupied in a formal militaristic sense. Maybe it is, we just don't see it. Then there's Saw Gerrera's encampment, more aliens with speaking roles. So it seems aliens are present where there isn't a huge Imperial presence themselves. Okay, that all may explain why there's a lack of aliens in the Cassian Andor series, with a probability rate of about 80%, I'd say. In other words, the explanation makes sense. But let's look at it from a writing standpoint. Remember when I said the aliens are scarce compared to almost every Star Wars show and movie to date? The word almost was intentional. Let's look at why. What is arguably the best Star Wars movie ever made? Especially to the older audience, The Empire Strikes Back. When rewatching The Empire Strikes Back, something stood out to me. Where are the aliens? In fact, I only counted 5 types of aliens. And thank you to ONE1 Peroni 7939 for putting me on this track. The first arc of The Empire Strikes Back is the Hoth bit, the Battle of Hoth, one of the greatest battles in Star Wars, arguably. We got the introduction of Imperial walkers and probe droids. Probe. That scares me a bit. But during the entire sequence, we see just one alien, Chewbacca. And I don't count the Wampa because he's more of a monster than an alien, and they are classified as monsters by George Lucas. But I digress. One alien for the first third of the movie. Then we go to Dagobah. Again, one alien, Yoda. At the time, the Empire is searching for the Millennium Falcon, and Darth Vader hires bounty hunters, 2 more aliens in the form of a Trandoshan named Bosk, and the other in the form of an insectoid named Zuckuss. When Han Solo and crew escape to Bespin, we see one more type of alien, Ugnaughts, the little pig people whose bathroom etiquette is probably lacking. But that's it, 5 types of aliens in The Empire Strikes Back. That's all. And it's a far cry fewer than the hundreds we see in A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. But The Empire Strikes Back is seen as arguably the best Star Wars movie of all time. So it's proof that it doesn't take aliens to make a great Star Wars project. Back to the Hoth bit. Yes, there were aliens in the rebellion on Hoth, but they weren't shown, and they weren't even mentioned as being there until novels started touching on it. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but they weren't mentioned as even playing a role in the Battle of Hoth until the first Battlefront novel. As far as we can tell, Andor has far more aliens than The Empire Strikes Back did. So if it is a big deal in The Empire Strikes Back, then why is it a deal breaker in the Cassian Andor series? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But don't go yet, there's still more. So in retrospect, the lack of aliens could be explained by the racist views of the Empire, since a lot of the show is dedicated to showing the darkest side of the totalitarian regime. Geonosians were wiped out, Wookiees were enslaved, and so on and so forth. But one more thing before I go, and this is just a bonus, not related to the alien bit. A lot of fans are upset that there's an AK-47 in Andor. But let's go back to The Empire Strikes Back again. There's an iguana on Dagobah. Snakes, iguanas, all stuff from our own world right there on an alien planet. Just food for thought. I'm not trying to start an argument with these things. This isn't what I'm about. If you don't like Andor, that's your right, and I'd never try to sway you otherwise. I'm a content creator, not an influencer, and I love Star Wars. And as one more bonus, I had an Oscar fish I named Admiral Akbar. He was eaten by my crawfish in the same tank. The crawfish waited by our rock for him to come near and attacked. It was a trap. Yeah, I didn't know they would eat something bigger than them. My mistake, but it is a bit of cruel irony. If you think I missed something, please let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't done so yet, go on and hit that subscribe button on your way out. Subscribing really helps my channel. And you may just be one subscriber, but you matter to me. This is Gerald, a Star Wars fanatic, signing off, wishing you all great health, happiness, and peace. Be good to each other. Thank you all for watching, and remember, this is the way. And positivity in the Star Wars community is the only way.